called the Princeton Gerrymandering Project. It's a very forgettable name, sorry. But it does something very simple. They look at political maps from around the country, district lines for Congress and state legislatures. They look at the maps for how well the maps create competitive elections, whether they give one side an unfair advantage over the other side. They look at the maps for fairness, basically, and then they give them a letter grade like the grades you get in school. Well, in the great state of Wisconsin, where the districts were drawn by the Republican legislature, the state House maps get an F. Same for the Wisconsin State Senate maps. Those also get an F for failure. The failure for Wisconsin democracy in those maps translates into a win for Wisconsin Republicans. The bottom line with those maps is that even when way more people in Wisconsin vote for Democrats, Republicans win most of the seats anyway. It's a nice trick. Wisconsin voters appear to be just about fed up with this. Consider what happened this year when they voted for a new state Supreme Court justice. Liberal candidate Janet Protasiewicz told voters the Wisconsin maps are wrong. She called the maps rigged. She said they do not reflect people in this state. Voters heard that message and they picked Janet Protasiewicz by a margin of 11 points, a resounding margin. Her victory created a liberal majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court for the first time in 15 years, with just a huge win. And so Wisconsin Republicans freaked out. Before she hears a single case on the Supreme Court, Republicans are threatening to impeach her. They would need a majority vote in the House to impeach her. They have that. They would need a 2/3 majority in the Senate to remove her, a 2/3 majority, which they also have. Wisconsin Democrats are now launching a $4 million ad campaign to alert Wisconsin voters, a $4 million campaign to alert Wisconsin voters to what the Republicans are doing, to what the Republican plan is for this new justice that the voters in the state just elected by such a resounding margin. The chair of the state Democratic Party told the national press this week, quote, "The longer they push this forward, the more political price we want to build for Republicans in the legislature and the whole GOP machinery. This could become a fireball that eats all of them up through 2024. Joining us now is the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, Ben Wickler. Mr. Wickler, it's nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much, Rachel.
The thing that I think is, even if you don't know anything about Wisconsin politics, the thing that I think is shocking from the outside is the size of her victory in that statewide election, and then the immediate move to remove her anyway, even before she's done anything as a judge. How is this being viewed inside the state?
There's no more fundamental American value than the freedom to choose our own leaders. So when Wisconsinites find out that a group of politicians led by Robin Vos, the Republican Speaker of our state assembly, are threatening to overturn the last election just to lock in their own power and prevent the public from choosing who leads the state, they are outraged. We've been flooded with calls. People are donating left and right. And more critically, they're calling Republicans in the state legislature to tell them not to do this, not to cross this line and throw out, erase 1 million votes that took place just a few months ago. It is shocking. And this is a moment when everyone needs to weigh in to stop the GOP from essentially undermining the entire system of democracy in our state and creating a precedent that could spread across the country.
As I mentioned, Ben, the Republicans do, on paper, have the votes to do this. They certainly have a majority in the House, and they have 2/3 in the Senate, basically exactly, as far as I understand it. What that means is they have the votes to do it, but with zero margin. It means if there are any defectors from this plan, it won't work. Are any Republicans visibly getting a little nervous or wobbly about this?
Yes, indeed. So now that the public is finding out about this plot, at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, we set up a website at defendjustice.com with a scorecard. And if you go there, you'll see that we have our first Republican state representative who came out publicly and said, no, he would vote against impeachment. We have a few that have told constituents that they're against, although they haven't said so publicly. And then we have a whole bunch that are saying nothing about their position. our sense is that they realize that this is a total political disaster for them, that even if they successfully impeached a Supreme Court justice to lock in their power, which has never happened before in Wisconsin or anywhere else, there's never been a purely political impeachment. Even if they did that, voters would eventually have the final say. So they need to step back from this brink. And frankly, what they're proposing is against the Wisconsin Constitution. So they have a pretty good exit ramp. They can just say they looked at it, it doesn't meet the standard that the Constitution sets out, they're done. If they don't do that, they're going to have to answer to voters for the rest of their political lives.
Ben Wickler, chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party. Ben, I know this is a very hard-fought fight in your state right now. Thanks for keeping us apprised. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.